In this video, we're going to explore the administration block. Blocks are extra areas that you can add to your Moodle course that can sit on the left or the right hand side of the screen. One of the defaults is the administration block. Some block basics. If I click the minus sign, I can minimize my block, and if I click the plus sign, I can maximize my block. We're going to go through some of these options in detail and some just to skip over very briefly. Firstly, turn editing on serves the same function as the green editing button. Edit settings. If we click that, we can edit the settings of our course, and there's quite a bit we can do here. Firstly, you can change the course full name, and it also has a course short name. Now those two things must be the same in your course. There's then the course category, that is where the course sits. Then there's whether or not the course is going to be visible, so I can either choose to show it or to hide it to my participants, and if I'm editing it on the production server, you might want to hide it temporarily. You can have a course start date, which you can choose with these drop down menus or by clicking on the calendar, and if the course has an EBS course ID number, then you put that there. Next is the course summary, and that's an important thing to have so that people can decide whether or not they really want to do your course, and so that should have essential information on how long the course takes, how it's delivered, and so on. You can attach or drag and drop course summary files, documentation about your course, and then there's a number of things down here that we can look at. Firstly, there's a course format. The default is the topic format that we've discussed in a previous video. You can change that to a number of other formats, including weekly format. Now the weekly format, instead of using topic 1, 2, 3, etc., we'll label it by the weeks, and that will be tied back to your course start date. You can change the number of sections here. Now if you hide a section, remember by clicking the I and graying out the topic, as we saw in our editing mode, that students can either see that in a collapsed form, so they know the topic's there but they can't access it, or it's completely hidden, so they won't know that the topic exists at all if you don't wish them to see it. And then you can choose either to show one section per page, or the default is to show all sections or all topics on the one page. We can change the appearance of the course, forcing themes and languages on them. News items will appear in a news forum which exists in topic 0, and so if we select 0 news items to show, then there'll be no news forum showed in topic 0. Show the gradebook to students so they can look at their grades. You should typically have that as yes, and the report activities that you can choose to hide or show. Files and uploads provides you with the opportunity to change the maximum upload size. Anything from small files of 10 kilobytes up to the site upload limit, which is set by the site administrator. Now this comes into play when looking at things like assignments and forums and so on. Completion tracking is a way of keeping track of whether or not your student has completed the course, and that's best to keep enabled. Guest access we typically won't allow. You want your students to actually be enrolled. Groups is a nice way of allowing multiple groups to access your resources or your activities, and that'll be explored in future videos. And role renaming is something you might want to do. So for example, you might want to call your students participants or something interesting. So we'll cancel that. Course completion is a way of looking at what criteria is set for the course to be complete, to be looked at in a future video. Users is a way of keeping track of your enrolled users. You can change the enrollment methods, whether or not they can enroll themselves, or you use a cohort, how you're going to use groups, and the permissions for each of the roles, be they student or teacher or whatever. We won't explore those in too much depth here. You can unenroll yourself from your own course. Why you want to do that, I don't know. Filters is something that you won't touch too much. Reports. You can see there are various logs and statistics about how your participants are using the course, and you can explore that at a later time. Grades gives you the gradebook or the grader report. You can choose various options in that. We won't explore that now because there are no students enrolled in our course. Outcomes relates to learning outcomes, and that will be for a future video. Likewise, badges, which will be explored in another course on gamification. Backup, restore, import and reset all refer to how you manage backups, etc. of your course. So backup is backup the course, restore is restore that course back to the server, import is to import courses into your course, and reset deals with user data, etc. Question bank will be looked at when we look at quizzes, and that's where you design your questions, which you can then import into quizzes. An LTI provider we won't consider. Switch role to is important. If I click that, the option that you'll use the most is student. And what that does is that it will show you what students will see in your course. And then if I click that, click student, in this case I don't see much change, but sometimes that you will, and then I have the option to return to my normal role. My profile settings we'll explore in another video, and finally site administration is mostly about what the site administrator can do. So that's a brief overview of the administration block. In particular, turning editing on and off and editing the settings are the most important things that we saw in this particular video.